Hello. Hi. Welcome to History Chats. Yeah, it's working. Good. Hey, welcome to History Chats this afternoon. I'm going to say at the top here, just for those of you who are watching live. Well, I guess nobody's watching live at the moment, but I'm just going to say it anyway. We are having some internet issues. It's not been the most stable connection here at the museum this morning, so hopefully we get through the whole thing okay today. In the event that the connection decides to drop, we'll just continue doing it. I'm recording the whole thing locally, and we will be uploading it for your viewing later, if that's the case. Hopefully that won't happen, but it's always good to give that preface at the beginning here. Yeah, so we're gonna get started in just a couple minutes, probably about 3 minutes here. So if you're watching live, just hang out. Thanks for joining us. If you're watching after the fact, you can just skip ahead about 2-3 minutes, and that'll get you into the program. But yeah, for those of you who are here live, welcome. Hope you're having a wonderful afternoon so far. Okay, let me tell you about some stuff that's coming up while we're waiting. The first weekend in April 2nd, it's a Saturday, we're going to have our return of our History Speaks lecture series. And this one's going to be a hybrid online as well as in person. If you miss coming down and seeing our faces in person, we will be doing that again. But this is going to be about talk about William Jennings Bryan, big politician and actually just American figure in the wider culture and history of the United States. And so Paul Clark from the Wausau East High School History Department is going to be telling us all about Bryan and including a stop or two that he made here in Wausau, at least what we know about that. So that'd be pretty fun. Yeah. We are in the middle of March MAPness again here. So Gary's going to be talking in just a minute here about some topographic maps, but just so you're aware, I guess here's what we're doing. Next week we're going to continue, and actually we got 5 weeks here in March this year, so we're going to have a fun fifth one here, a railroad map of Wisconsin from 1883. Some very interesting stuff in here, in particular one an unusual stop. So we're going to talk about that and the kind of unusual immigrant refugee story that connects to it. So looking forward to telling you about that, but we're not there today. Today we are talking about topographic maps. So yeah. As always, if you have any questions during the program, any comments, suggestions, whatever, feel free to throw those into the chat or comment section. I will make sure we'll have some time at the end probably for some question and answers at the end. So we can look forward to that. Cool. I think, yeah, let me switch over here. Yeah. So here's Gary Gisselman to do the program today. Take it away.
Thank you, Ben. Welcome this afternoon. Well, like Ben said, this month we are talking about maps. So we've seen bird's eye view maps, a variety of different maps. Next week, Ben talks about railroad maps. And a specific type of map, I think that's a little different, is something called a topographical map. Hills, rivers, valleys, and more. That's what we're going to talk a little bit about today. But first of all, I just want to go over, because you may not be familiar with exactly some of these. So topography, the physical features of a region. So today we're talking about the physical geography of Marathon County. I apologize to geographers and geologists and other people that deal with the land. I sort of making this a little bit more simpler perhaps, but I'm just, in the few minutes that we have, I just want to talk a little bit about some of the nature of Marathon County. And then the constant usually is contour lines, those lines connecting points of equal elevation. So we'll see quite a few of that today, so that the closer these contour lines are, and we'll see that specifically when we narrow in on a mountain, the steeper the banks, the creating sort of a mountain or a hill of quite note. Of course, Rib Mountain would be, Rib Hill would be a good indicator of that. So this is what we're going to talk about today. So the division of these quad maps or topographical maps is a little different. They're based on quads, a grid of Wisconsin. Each grid is given a specific name, and that's sort of where these quad maps are named, and that's how it is all dealt with. So when we look at Marathon County, we see that it crosses, of course, the county lines. So the name of the Athens quad, for instance, up in the top left would move into Lincoln County. It's not by political boundaries. It's just boundary lines that are created purely arbitrary according to these quad maps. So this is a topographical map. This is pretty typical of what the connecting lines are. So all those, once those lines get closer together, those lines become a little darker. For instance, along the Wisconsin River Valley, that means there is some elevations there, some higher elevations that perhaps create riverbanks or create a variety of other things that we'll hopefully take a look at. But the Wisconsin River Valley is noted because of the banks along the Wisconsin River Valley and the higher elevations. But then as we move out east into the towns of Hewitt and Harrison, then things level out and becomes more on a common grade. So here we narrow in on Rib Hill. So what do we see? We see Rib Hill at about 1,940 feet. Then below that, we see Mosinee Hill. We see Wausau. This is an early diagram of Wausau, so that's certainly not the way Wausau is laid out today. But we see the Little Rib River, and the Rib River coming west from Wausau. So what we see is the rivers really following the lowland, so to speak. So they trickle down past hills and into valleys, and thus feed into most likely the Rib or the Big Rib or the Wisconsin River. So here we see Rib Hill, and then below that again, I say Mosinee Hill. And for those not familiar with Rib Hill or Rib Mountain, living in Colorado today or Sweden or somewhere around the world, this is what Marathon County claims as its highest peak. This is Rib Hill, and later called Rib Mountain. Lake Wausau is in the foreground. But you should see this in comparison to what those contour lines meant. So, but if we narrow in a little bit to the northeast of Wausau, there is a little, in the box, it's, and I thought, when I first saw that, I thought, what is this? Well, this is early Wausau. So this would be Maple Hill or Forest Park or St. Mary's Hospital, now Forest Park Villages, that little hill that goes to the northeast off of Brown Street. So again, and then if you go across the river to the little bit of narrow contour lines, that's out on 72nd Avenue. There's some hilly areas out there. So all the hilly areas are very clearly defined. And then if we come, I show this one because then if you go north on 6th Street, following County W, you come across this Marshall Hill. So if you're going to take, for instance, if you would be taking a bicycle ride north on 6th Street and you see this, you would see, well, this is going to be a little bit of a steep grade So I'm not sure if I can make that. That Marshall Hill is a steep hill there up off of 6th Street. So again, in this day and age, of course, you can certainly turn on a certain app and you can get those same elevations. But what we're trying to do today is try to give you a little bit of a history that is revealed through these topographical maps, as well as the physical geography, really, of Marathon County. So one of the things that have changed in the history of our city is what we call Lake Wassa. So if we look on the Wisconsin River south of Wassa, we see a completely different lay of the land, so to speak. We see, but there was a dam. If we take a look in Rockchilds, we'll see that there was a dam created in 1910. As we see here, a dam created in 1910 for the Rockchilds paper mill. Thus, we have Lake Wassa, and thus Lake Wassa, the flowage there was created, and we now have Lake Wassa, certainly different than what it looked like in the early days when George Stevens came up the Wisconsin River. So again, a change in landscape, a change in the physical geography as revealed through a series of topographical maps. This is an older topographical map, pretty much saying the same things, but there are available a variety of historic topographical maps. We don't have time to reveal all those today, but the United States Geological Service does have those on their website. But I point out this specific map as the Wisconsin Valley. I've talked about this a little bit before, but the Wisconsin Valley created through those banks, those close contour lines, all the way from Merrill through Wausau, and then eventually all the way down to Mosinee, following the low. So it'd be curious to know the geologic history of the river and how it came to be specifically like that. I guess that's all up to glacial history that we might be able to talk about at some other time. But so this is another type of topographical map. You see the lines aren't so much in there. The elevations are pretty much by the green coloring that indicates the higher elevations, or at least some higher elevations as opposed to the land. But what we want to talk about here is a little bit of the history, what is being revealed. This is northeast of Wausau, the Wisconsin River north of Wausau, coming south past, coming out to Broca on the bottom part of the screen. But what this reveals is the history of red granite in Marathon County. I centered in on Granite Heights, north of Broca on the Wisconsin River. And then if you go up northwest to section 22, you see the quarry. So here we have the beginnings of the red granite quarrying in Marathon County. And Anderson Brothers and Johnson would take red granite from that quarry, move it across the Wisconsin River to his factory at Granite Heights. The Granite Heights was the center of red granite history in Wausau for a long time. But it continues to the east, because in sections 35 and 36, we see more granite quarries. We see a granite school. I think this is on Granite Road. There's another on section 34. So if you are writing or want to know about the history of red granite in Marathon County, and you want to know where were these granite places that they got this rich red granite from, you have to go to a topographical map, because this is one place that it's going to specifically show you where some of these quarries were in our history. This is, for instance, what one of those granite quarries looked like. It brought a noted history and it certainly put Marathon County on the map for many years with regard to that rich red granite that was coming out of a variety of quarries in Marathon County. So let's take another topographical map. This comes west of Wausau. We see the village of city of Marathon, Rib River, Edgar, pretty typical of showing the elevations again here. But let's narrow in on the northeast section. So what do we see? We see a topographical map that shows us where exactly these one-room schools were located. So the Spring Valley School on section 31, the Redview School, all these one rooms, a rare map that would show us exactly where this specific map also will show us where Trinity Church was, and across the street, the cemetery. So they did reveal a great deal of information, sometimes information that is not revealed in current plat books today. So again, it shows you specifically what side of the crossroads it is at. For instance, the Spooner School up in section 22, alongside section 23, was up on the southwest corner of O and U. A variety of other gravel pits around there also. You can see a closer view of Trinity Church and across the street, the cemetery and the town hall. But the Spooner School was right there. And of course, this is what that Spooner School looked like in the day before it was moved to Marathon Park. It is now, of course, part of the Marathon County Historical Society's Little Red Schoolhouse program. But again, showing you where exactly that Spooner School was. Topographical maps indicating, showing us a little bit of that history of Marathon County. So we're going to come a little bit to the southeast of Marathon, and I just want to point out a little bit of a hill that is a little south of N. It's a fairly substantial hill, one of the more notable hills in Marathon County, in addition to Mosinee Hill and Rib Hill, of course. There's several other notable hills, but this one, if anyone knows it's called Hardwood Hill. So if you're coming on N or double N, and before you're coming to see Rim Mountain, glance off on your right, and you will see this very notable hill as part of the physical geography of Marathon County. This is a topographical map, some of the contour lines showing in, but this is a topographical map of Lake of Dubé area south of Wausau. So we think, why Dubé? Well, see, Dubé wasn't always there, and at one time there was a dam put up on the Wisconsin River, creating Lake Dubé, and I was not able to find. I'm still on the search for a map or a picture of what the Wisconsin River looked like before it came into this part of Marathon County, creating Lake Dubé. But again, as with the dam in Rothschilds, the topographical maps reveal the change from year to year, from decade to decade, on how the physical geography of Marathon County has been changed. So topographic maps do a lot of things. It shows history. It shows the change in our physical geography. It shows a lot of different things that reveal a little bit about the nature of and history of Marathon County. So with that, I conclude and turn it back to Ben.
Yeah, cool. There we go. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, another great example, as the kind of theme for this month has been, maps are created for a specific purpose, and when you have a bunch of years of them change, you can see some really cool stuff. So yeah, I'll let the stream catch up here in case there's any questions yet here. But yeah. Topographic maps or topographical. I don't know if there's a difference. I tried to see if there's a difference. I think they both just kind of mean the same thing, and one's more fancy. But yeah. All right. So I don't see necessarily any questions coming in, which is completely fine. I'll just say thanks again for watching. We will be continuing one more here. Again, I'll put this screen up here. March MAPness. We got one more left here, which is a railroad map. Another interesting example. In this case, it's going to be more of one map that brings up a question that I'm going to try to figure out, as opposed to comparing them. But there'll be a lot of maps, I think. I haven't quite put it all together yet, but we'll see. There'll be some good stuff coming up. So anyway, thanks again for watching, and have a wonderful afternoon, and we'll see you next week.